Good morning. This is attorney Sam Brotman with Brotman Law here in San Diego, and the title of this video blog post is California AB 147 and its impact on Amazon sellers. So I've been getting a lot of questions over the last 2 weeks about the proposed legislation in California, which is California AB 147, and what it means for Amazon sellers. And there has been a great amount of confusion with our current clients, with some of the prospective clients that have called us, and then generally in the community about what the bill is and what it means. So I finally had an opportunity to sit down last night and read through the whole bill, so I wanted to share some of my thoughts on what the bill proposes to do, what it does not do, and then the ultimate impact on the Amazon community as a whole. So California AB 147 is a direct response by California to the Wayfair decision. And what that means is the very first thing that AB 147 does is it expands the concept of economic nexus in reaction and in congruence with the Wayfair decision to encompass all sellers that meet a certain economic nexus threshold in California. So the language that the bill says is any retailer with substantial nexus for the purpose of the U.S. Constitution. So it basically includes a catch-all provision that says if you meet certain requirements for having nexus in California, then you will have sales tax nexus for the purpose of our state. So what it really does is it codifies Wayfair into specific language that the CDTFA can point at when determining whether or not a seller has nexus. So that's a very, very, very broad definition. So within that definition, there's a relief provision that will grant relief on the interest and penalties from April of this year until 2022. So California has subsequently expanded the concept of what it means to do business here, and it has created a grace period for people to come into compliance. Now, keep in mind that the Wayfair case in general is dealing with the concept of a company having nexus in a state without having any physical presence here. And under Revenue and Taxation Code 6203 here in California, Amazon sellers are considered to have physical presence in California by lieu of the fact that they're holding inventory in California. So even though AB 147 expands the concept of nexus, it doesn't do anything to change 6203 or the principle that Amazon sellers already have nexus in California. The second thing the bill does is it defines the concept of a marketplace facilitator, which would be including Amazon, and it obligates Amazon or any other marketplace facilitator to start collecting tax as a result of the transactions that it engages in. So what that means for Amazon sellers is if I'm in California and I purchase a case of formula for my baby on Amazon and that product is shipped to me, then Amazon will charge me tax based on Amazon's concept of nexus in California and the seller's nexus in California through their participation in the FBA program, and I will remit the tax directly to Amazon. Amazon will collect that tax and remit it to the state of California versus turning those monies over to the seller like it has done in the past. So it puts an affirmative collection requirement on Amazon for taxes. And it alleviates Amazon sellers of the requirement to collect taxes. It does not alleviate sellers of the obligation to file sales tax returns. So if I was an Amazon seller and AB 147 came into effect, essentially I would have registered with California and I would be filing sales tax returns listing my total sales, and then I would get a credit for any monies that Amazon had collected. So for example, let's say I run an online business. I do $100,000 in sales through Amazon, and I do $100,000 in sales directly through my own website. So through my storing of inventory in an Amazon warehouse, I have nexus with California for all of my sales. So all 200,000 of my sales are now taxable in California. So when filling out my sales tax return, I would list that I did 200,000 in total quarterly sales, and I would calculate the amount of tax that I would owe on that 200,000. And then I would receive a corresponding credit, which I would put down on my sales tax return, which would offset the amount that I would have to pay the state of California. So that's how it works. It's even with the marketplace law in effect, we've seen this in other states. It doesn't alleviate the sellers of any filing obligation. It just alleviates them of the collection obligation. And California is doing that in order to maximize its tax revenue. And I think that's one of the big mistakes about AB 147 is that people are looking at it as a bill that is friendly to Amazon sellers. And really what it is a bill that puts the state's interest first and then goes from there. And what we can really see in that bill is we do see that, because there's a couple things that AB 147 does not do. So number one, even though there is a grace period going forward from April 1st, 2019 through December of 2022, there is no relief that is implied or granted or any sort of amnesty for any of the penalties and interest and sales tax prior to April of 2019. So there's not a situation where Amazon is going to start collecting taxes in April and the state of California is going to forget about all the past due taxes. In fact, the activity that we've seen from California is, even with AB 147 coming into place, California is continuing and is starting to get much more aggressive with respect to Amazon sellers who didn't comply with the letter with the January 15th deadline. So what we're seeing now, and the trend is California is sending out a second set of letters and will soon be force registering people in California and issuing assessments based on what they think their sales are. So even with the passage of AB 147, the CDTFA is not deterred in going after Amazon sellers for the periods of sales that they did not collect tax on. There is some relief built into CDTFA procedure to either get relief on the penalty portion of the liability and or some of the interest, depending on whether you go through the managed audit platform or some other means of compliance. But those paths exist because they already exist. There's nothing new that's being created out of the legislation that would seek to help Amazon sellers. So unfortunately, for the people who aren't registered in California, you're going to have to come into compliance. California is not simply going to forget about you. And as time passes and California gets more and more aggressive in this platform, the actions that California is going to take are going to be more and more severe. So even with that said, there is still a need to do something with respect to California. And then with California as kind of the leader in this legislation, you can expect a lot of the other states to adopt a similar method of compliance. We're seeing more and more sellers or more and more states pass economic nexus laws in response to Wayfair that kind of codified Wayfair's threshold. And we're seeing more and more starting to enact marketplace laws that put the burden on Amazon in terms of tax collection. Doesn't alleviate the filing requirement, just alleviates the collection requirement. So those are really, really important. And in terms of managing your businesses on Amazon, you can kind of look at this as this is the way that the game is changing. So it is very, very important to understand that coming into compliance is a necessity. You can't afford to sit on the sidelines and wait passively and hope that the states are going to offer any sort of amnesty. Because what we've seen and what the pattern is the states are not offering amnesty. And so that's really important in running and managing your businesses and thinking about the business's revenue stream going forward. Is you're going to have to find a way to come into compliance, as painful as it may be, with some of the states. The reality of the situation is it does not have to be that painful. There's a variety of things that you can do to bring yourself in compliance that doesn't involve registering in all 50 states and paying back to sales taxes on every single dollar that you sold in the state that you didn't collect. But it really depends on the individual facts and circumstances of those liabilities. So I really want to encourage you guys as more and more legislation comes out. And I will continue to post updates as AB 147 comes out of the tax committee and gets amended and ultimately through its final passage. But I want to encourage people to really take a look at this issue and to really think about their compliance burdens and their obligations in running their businesses to make sure that they're doing the responsible thing by their business. This is an issue that's not going to go away as much as we would all like it to. And it's an issue that, at least from a legislative perspective, it doesn't seem like there's going to be a legislative avenue for relief for Amazon sellers. So again, if you'd like to speak with me, I know several people have watched our videos and have called us for consults. I'm more than happy to help out. I'm more than happy to go through your specific situation, dive into some of the numbers, and kind of go from there. Alternatively, if you don't want to talk to us for whatever reason, I do recommend that you go out and get help. Talk to a multi-state CPA. Talk to somebody with knowledge of California tax procedure. There are lots of good practitioners in California who know how the CDTF operates and what they're doing. Talk to those people. Get informed decisions. Speak with people who have California-specific experience, and it can help you in guiding and dealing with that. That's what I would really encourage. It's important to have the right person in the right seat giving you advice on this particular issue. And again, this is very important. It's not going to go away. So if you have any questions, or need guidance on this issue, we have a ton of website materials on our website, which is www.sambrotman.com. You can check out our other videos for some explanations that I've given in the past. And we're going to start publishing some more materials and some guides to get people through on some of these issues and explain, in the nuts and bolts, how this process works. So again, and you're always welcome to call us. Our phone number is 619-378-3138, or you can reach out to us through lawoffice@sambrotman.com. So thank you for watching this video today. I really appreciate a lot of the feedback I've gotten. I'm happy to continue to share knowledge and be a resource on this issue. So thank you so much. I look forward to hopefully speaking with you soon, and hope you found this very informative. Anyway, talk to you later.